All right, hello and good morning, or whatever time of day it is for you. This is David with Sacred Clown Tarot. I'm doing a message for Aquarius today. I am doing these readings based off star sign, so to speak, but that's not limited to sun, moon, anything like that. I think the personal placements, it will show up for you more. So if it is in your sun, if it is in your moon, even your Mercury. I know for me, for instance, I'm a Sagittarius, Mars and Venus, and also Jupiter and Pluto. I'm a Scorpio, Sun sign, Moon sign, Mercury. So I have 3 Scorpios, I have 4 Sagittarius. Sometimes my Sagittarius messages that I read into or that I listen to personally sometimes are just as helpful, if not more helpful, than my Scorpio readings that I get for my real personal placements. So something to consider. So even if you just have 1 or 2 of Aquarius, it might make sense. If it's big, if it's small, worth a listen because it's still an aspect of your personality. So I hope that clarifies any little things for you. But anyway, I'm going to dive in. I have 3 archetype cards and then 5 of the regular Rider-Waite tarot that I have as clarifiers for the energy. They're pre-shuffled, pre-drawn. I just take a wicked long time shuffling, so I do it in advance, but I have not seen the cards, so I'm going to unveil them to you at this very moment. So our first archetype card for you, Aquarius, is the Creator. We have Venom right in the center. And then we have the Bardo rounding it out. I love these colors coming up together. It's kind of like a dark rainbow sensation. I think of the band Rainbow Kitten Surprise right now. Anyway, the underlying energy for you mofos is the Mystic, which was kind of at the center of the reading for Capricorn. So that is your underlying energy. No intention of that. Otherwise, I just didn't shuffle really well, but I believe I did. The Mystic is a great card to have. My personal favorite is 21. I'm November 21st, so that card has always stood out to me. So it's a little wink wink to any people that watch the Capricorn video, or maybe you have Capricorn placements. Who knows? But the Mystic is here. It's looking at us. The underlying energy, no, we'll get to that later. So I'm just going to tap in, see what we want to hear from the Mystic for you, since that's the underlying energy. So this is about clarity. For Capricorn, the last reading, it was about integration of spiritual mindset, intuition. But for you, Aquarius, this makes me think about the desire for clarity. The underlying message is to tap more into your intuition, which I feel like you're having problems doing, or maybe you're on the brink or precipice of leaning more on your intuition, and that's why it is the underlying energy. We're gonna jump right into the Creator energy for you, all right? So that's our Rainbow Magic, the Creator. Little hand with a paintbrush right at the center. So this speaks to me about the boldness to envision your own reality. And there's a bravery I sense from you that you've already embarked on the path to start creating the world that you envision with your imagination, your illustrious and beautiful imagination. You want to do it. It would put you on the path that you're on now. But something tells me that it's in the mind's eye, but it's not quite made pen to paper yet. You want to, but there's a hesitation with this paintbrush. So it's in the mind's eye. It's in here, in the beautiful brain of yours. But the paintbrush, for me, doesn't feel like it's touching the paper yet, or maybe you're only just starting off with your initial strokes, and you don't see the whole picture yet. That's kind of what I'm getting. But you have all the colors within your bandwidth. You have the potentiality to start painting. But there's something holding you back. That is 22, which is a master number, which follows after 21. So after having a mystic insight or a desire or an inclination to follow your intuition, you now want to step into a creator spirit, which I think is lovely. It's beautiful. I'm going to transition over to the venom, which is at the forefront, right at the center of our reading right now. The venom. Okay. So this speaks to, in this context, the darkness or the uncertainty of a situation, and kind of like, bear in mind, this has been a popular word for me over the past couple of days, but delusion. And I think for you, delusion is the venom that is corroding your vision or your reality or what you want to manifest in your reality. If you look closely, you see the moon there in the middle of that little bite. It's kind of a half moon. This number is, if I'm doing the math right, 63. Silence. My animals are bickering. And the venom. So you see all those colors represented, and I kind of drew the comparison early between these two. See how rich this is in your mind's eye, right? All those colors showing up in watercolors and ink drawings, whatever the pen. They're showing up in full force in your mind's eye. But when it comes to the heart of your matter and the application, see how the colors become a little bit more watered down, a little bit more subdued, and the ink, the blackness takes over in the heart of it, as opposed to it kind of being in the periphery in this one. You do have black in the center there, but that is kind of like maybe like the pupil of the eye. In this regard, the potential to let light in, to have creative vision come in. So you are letting creative vision come in, but the application isn't there. And it's because it's being held back by your own delusion that you are entertaining. It's not me saying here you're a delusional individual and you only see in delusion. That's not true. Otherwise, this message wouldn't be gathered up for you, because you do have the potential, you do have the creative spark within you. But you are entertaining a diluted aspect that comes to your emotions, or how you're seeing yourself in an emotional aspect, or how your emotions are being carried. This, if I'm relating to anywhere, this might be PTSD. It might be any sort of mental illness or hindrance that you experience on your day-to-day, whether it's been a lifelong struggle, a more recent struggle. This venom is kind of just blotting out the application of your vision, because you're entertaining darkness and subdued thoughts. And unfortunately, you're being your own hindrance. And I don't mean that to take a shot. It's just more so I say those words so that you have the opportunity to take accountability for your own thoughts and your own emotions. Yeah, I think that's my piece for that. If I have more ideas, I'll revisit it, but I want to transition over to the Bardo, which is right here. All right, and that is 50. And this is probably one of the more eerie, creepy cards of the deck. There's a couple that focus around death, but this is kind of like about as dead and deathy as it gets, with the skeletons. Kind of reminds me of the catacombs in France or Italy. I'm going to tap into this to see if there's a more specific message, but I'm feeling I'm getting there. So this is what you're staring down in the future, right? You see death, and many people do. And you see it as a bad thing. But this, for you, is almost like an inevitability, or you think it's like an end of a road. But you don't see the potentialities past that. And how do I backtrack or kind of step into the full stance of what I'm trying to say here? What needs to die are these thoughts and these hindrances. And I think you are seeing this, right? And this is kind of in the future position, so to speak. I start off, this is what's started us, the creator. This is what's currently in our energy, and this is what is to come. I mean, I loosely do past, present, future for an analog look at this, so to speak, but these can all exist simultaneously. Sometimes you're flowing on a trajectory from one to another, back and forth. The bardo is the certainty of an old self that you need to let die. And it's not even you, or this might not even be an ego death. I mean, probably should be, probably will be. But the part of you that entertains these thoughts, the subdued, the subliminal anxiousness, the paranoia, the delusion of your own grandeur. And I'm not saying that as in you have delusions of grandeur. I'm saying that in kind of the counterintuitive way that you have delusions about the capacity of your own grandeur. You are limiting your own self-belief. Yeah, you're limiting your own self-belief. And you, as Aquarius, whatever your placements might be, if it's predominant in your chart, you're a very heady person. You're an imaginative person. You think outside the box. And so this is kind of wants to be your stasis on your reality. But it's being encumbered by this. And the only logical progression, or at least spiritual progression, psychological progression for these archetypal messages is the bardo. And this is death of an old way. And me, as a spiritualist, as a mystic, I'm very comfortable with the idea of death. When I go through my own ego deaths, that doesn't mean it's easy. I'm certainly going through that now in my own tumultuous realities. But the bardo is the invitation. I think of the Lord of the Rings. I don't know if there are many fans out there. But this card especially makes me think of Aragorn walking into whatever that fucking mountain is in the Return of the King, to bring the army of the undead to wow, why am I blanking on the term? Is it Minas Tirith? I feel really silly if it's not Minas Tirith, but whatever. Gondor, the capital of Gondor, the city. I think it's Minas Tirith. Could be wrong. But he has to face the dead king, or those that failed the dead kings of past. Whole tangent right now. But he has to walk through a door. And it says, like, the way is shut, blur, 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 the dead, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. He has to face dead people. He has to face those that are dead and has to will them back to life to fulfill an oath. All I'm saying is you have to go past a boundary that you're afraid of. But going past that boundary of death, of putting an end to these cycles, these thoughts, these sullied ways of thinking, and then you'll find your fulfillment and your freedom. Under the mystic was the mother, so perhaps you need to get more in touch with your feminine spirit, a spirit of surrenderance, of nurturance, and nurture that own pearl of wisdom and grace that you have at the center of your own being, all right? We're going to dive into the clarifiers now to make sure that I'm not just completely bullshitting you with these interpretations, all right? So we have up front, the first card, Strength. And I switched over to the Rider-Waite just because the last reading I did, I used the Hermetic. It's very black and dark. The colors weren't showing up. And we're starting off simple. And I want people to be able to interpret my messages. As we grow and we get more advanced, I might use the more advanced tarot. But these are ones that people know, they can understand. It's easy to communicate, colorful, a little bit more uplifting. And I want people to have hope after getting my messages. So Strength is what we're leading with. Excellent card. Following that, we have this is Seven of Wands. I looked like it wanted to be in reverse, but I'm going to leave it upright, but we'll interpret whatever message it wants to say to us. At the center of it, we've got the Six of Cups. Following the Six of Cups, we've got the Six of Swords. That was also looked like it wanted to be read in reverse, but we will get to that. And then this last one is the Death card. Oh, ho, ho. Isn't that so funny? So I was right on the money. Anyway, death, clarifying death. How poetic and cool for you, Aquarius. And their underlying energy for the clarifiers is the Four of Coins, which is a perfect clarifier for you holding on to self-limiting beliefs. And it's silly right now, okay? So I just looked under Four of Wands. Not Four of Wands, fuck me. Gotta stop swearing. Four of Coins. Underneath this, right? So this is the underlying energy for our clarifiers. Under that was the King of Pentacles. I have a sneaking suspicion that you are in this energy, but you secretly think in your delusion that you are in this energy, which is the King of Pentacles. All right? You're not. And that's more of a harsh wake-up call, I suppose. He is a king, right? He's a king. He's got a little crown. King of what? Who knows what? And that's the King of Pentacles. So you are holding on to the self-limiting beliefs, holding on to what you currently have in your reality, because it's all you've known, right? You think that you've kind of tapped out on your potential, or at least this is what you know, and you're trying to hold on to it. You've only ever known these delusions. You've only ever known these hindrances, these delusions, these false precepts, concepts, ways of thinking, interpreting emotions, reality, and you're holding on to what you currently possess, but you need to let go before you can let more in. And what's being asked of you to let go is just very silly, self-limiting beliefs and thoughts. All right, so we're going to dive into these clarifiers because I'm running out of time, I suppose. Strength. All right, we're going to clarify that. A strength card for Aquarius. This is your fortitude. This is your joy. You have this. You have the strength to overcome all the obstacles that I'm talking about. Any shit talk that I'm giving you, you can say F you because you do have the strength to overcome. It's just recognizing it within yourself. You have the ability, and you wouldn't have this intense creative spirit unless this will to master yourself and all your transgressions, your emotions was present. So that's there. I love that for you. It feels like it's taken forever though, right? The Seven of Coins. Now, one to be read in reversed, I'm just going to clarify and feel it in my heart. So you want to, so this is this card, right? Seven of Coins is the bridge between this card and this card. Because this vision is taking as long as it is, but it's because you aren't able to enact it with the fullest potential of what you have to bring to the table, it's delayed and it's taking a while. It feels like it's taken a while, and that's where these negative thoughts come into your equation. You have to let go of those negative thoughts before anything can truly manifest. What is next after that is the Six of Cups. All right, so this might change the dynamic of the reading, but I want to tap in. Right? Oh, okay. These are self-limited beliefs around love and purity. The love you've known, right? This could be romantic, this could be in your relationship dynamics, your family, your friends, has only been an idea, and it has unfortunately been clouded and diluted by negative conceptions, traumas, perhaps, again, mental illness, PTSD, dark, cloudy thoughts, negative Nancy thoughts. I literally worked with a negative Nancy. She had Crohn's disease and hyper anxiety. And I was like, it's just so fitting. Anyway, this is about love. This could be love that is present around you that you are stubborn to let in. It could be love that you want to embrace, but you don't know how. But Six of Cups traditionally is like a soulmate, kind of like hearkening back to nostalgia, better times, better years. You feel that simplicity, you feel that grace, that sweetness, that tenderness of love. but it's being diluted and held back by your own negative image, or else your just disbelief in the potential for purity. And that purity and love and grace and light is what's going to let this creator spirit come full spectrum and full blossom. All right? We're going to tap into this clarifier, the Six of Swords. It means moving away from this. And you don't want to move away from this because this is what you know, right? This is your kind of day-to-day average mental stasis. It's diluted and cloudy, but it's what you know. You were born with this spark of creative spirit and strength to overcome, but you were brought in a world that is delusional. Congrats, so did I. And it's hard for you to progress, but you have to willingly make the move, even though it's hard to go away from what you've known. And what's unfortunate, though, is you feel like you're going into certain death, right? And it's because you are. But you're saying goodbye to a version of you that doesn't serve you anymore. And I know that's a cliche in the tarot community, because you'll hear it often if you get readings, but death is one of my favorite cards. I am Scorpio, so obviously, but it's time for renewal. It's time to renew how you look at the world, my friends. Like there's potentialities out there for you, and it's going to be beautiful. But you have to say goodbye to an old way. And I'll point something out to you. One of my favorite aspects of this whole card is the king being trampled down there at the bottom. It's hard to see, but you can look up the death card for yourself. But that's a key theme in this card. Rider Waite, but also the death card in general. Death itself is on a horse mounted, trampling over a king. He's been dethroned. His crown has fallen off. And that is this king, right? The Four of Pentacles, but also this king of Pentacles that you think you're embodying, but you're not. Or you capped out on an old, kind of subdued, kind of an infantile way of thinking that you're in your authority. You might be a little bit more immature. You might just need to grow up a little bit. That's not me kind of throwing shade at you. That's just you growing up, because underneath that is a more promising. So even underneath these two is the Empress, a feminine perspective, being grounded in who you are. The Empress has her shit together much more potently than the King of Pentacles, even though he's still on shit. And then underneath that, we have the Ten of Pentacles, all right? Truest material abundance. So if you can accept the death of your current ego stasis and where you're at in your situation, then you can move on to greener pastures. But you first have to look death in the eye, which means surrendering the delusions that you've had up until this point. Surrender from them, walk away, go forward with confidence and strength, and you can take on death. All right? I'll leave you with a little anecdote that I came up with in 2020. And it's that you got to die before you die. That way you never die. Okay? It's a little silly and a little weird. You have to die before you die. That way you never die. All right? I could over-explain if I want, but simplistically saying, surrender your ego, let that die before you die in this physical world. That way you can be renewed and whole in spirit and live eternally in your infinite creator wisdom that your soul so naturally wants to manifest in. All love and light and bullshit in that regard to you, my friend Aquarius. You're one of the more dope signs that I respect. This is a little hiccup. You have a little bit of pride as a sign because you are intellectual and you are able to get yourself out of your own out of a lot of situations, especially socially, but not your own mind. And that's where you're being asked to overcome and persevere. I hope this has been helpful. So much love, so much grace. Your reading is a little bit longer than the last, but there's more meat to this. The other one was a little bit more direct, but this one, you got some work to do, but I have full faith and confidence. Keep an eye out for my readings. I hope this served you. Best of luck. Fuck shit up in the best way. And we'll talk again soon. Peace out. Much love. Bye.